Off we go. Hello everyone, hope everyone is doing well, and with us today is Viv from Knights of Dice. How are you doing, Viv?
Hi everyone.
Okay, first of all I'd like to thank you again for being here. You've been an absolute trooper. Yeah, the time zone gremlin struck again, and it was originally planned so that it would be 5:45 of your time, but it ended up being 3:45 a.m. So you've been a real trooper, and thanks for being here.
Oh, you are very welcome. You know, I am tired. Like I said in our pre-chat, I'm sipping on my tea and I'll stutter my words, but you know, it's great to be here. You know, it's so much fun to be able to participate with, you know, the international gaming community. And, you know, this is one of the side effects, isn't it? We all live in different places. And for me right now, it's 3:45 in the morning. But yeah, pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, you're always welcome. So let's say hello to everyone in the chat. So hello Charlene and hello Cross. Hope you're all doing great. So Viv, how about you start by telling us a bit about yourself and Knights of Dice in general?
Yeah, sure. I am in the background, just for people who are watching, and for you, Karl, I'm trying to bring up some stuff that I can work on while we're chatting. So, you know, bear with me if I seem a little bit distracted every now and then. I've been a gamer for years. I started playing Warhammer Fantasy Battles in 1994, I think.
Yeah, that's about when I started, I think.
Yeah. I think it was fourth edition fantasy, maybe third edition. It was the box set with the elves and elves and the was it goblins? I can't remember.
Yeah, elves and goblins.
Yeah. So, it's been an interest of mine for half my life. And like most of us, I come and gone, and in my mid-20s, I started working, and didn't really do much tabletop stuff, and then slowly got back into it, and then in 2009, I opened up a retail store called Battle Bunker here in Melbourne. I don't know if you're familiar with the name Battle Bunker. It's used by Games Workshop for a lot of their big stores.
Okay, all right.
And when I was naming that store, when I was sitting down thinking about names and stuff, this concept of Battle Bunker came along, and I was like, oh, that sounds like such a great name. And so I looked up all the registrations and trademarks and URLs and everything, and it was all available. And so I thought, yep, this is fantastic. So I registered everything. We made our branding, opened up the store, and started kicking things off. And about 3 or 4 months into it, I started getting phone calls from people saying, oh, I'm coming to the Warhammer tournament on the weekend, and I'm just wondering if I need to do this and this. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. We're not having a Warhammer tournament on the weekend. And then it finally clicked here in Melbourne. There's a big Games Workshop store out in one of our suburbs called Box Hill, or there used to be. I don't know if it's still there now. But it was a big store. It was, and Games Workshop haven't ever officially used the name Battle Bunker, but sometimes you do hear them use that. So that store was, unofficially known as Battle Bunker Box Hill, or as the Box Hill Battle Bunker. And then it cottoned. All of a sudden I realized that's why the name sounds so familiar. That's why the name sounds so good, because, in the back of my head for years and years and years, I've been so used to Games Workshop calling their big stores in the US and the UK Battle Bunkers. But that was great fun. I ran that store for about 3 years or so. It was a wonderful time. I lived in an apartment above the store, so I was always there. I remember people would be coming past, 10 o'clock at night, 10:30 at night, they'd be banging on the windows like, Viv, let us in. Viv, we know you're there. And my whole life was just Battle Bunker for 3 years. I just had a very small, it was an old post office. So obviously the distribution area, big shop downstairs, and then a small staff room and like a staff lounge room upstairs. So that's where, I had my bed and my apartment and stuff. But otherwise I'd spend all my time downstairs in the shop, and huge glass frontage, 16 meters of glass facing the road. So if I was down there at midnight doing any hobby work, all the lights would be on. Anyone could see me. And I remember one night I was down there, making some videos or doing something for Rubbish In, Rubbish Out, who knows. And all of a sudden there's this group of guys banging on the window, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. And so I walk over, I'm like, oh, what up? And one of them's like, they're drunk. These guys, they're all drunk. And he's like, I want to buy some Space Marines. I'm like,
that's one of them.
Yeah. It's like, I want to buy some Space Marines. I'm like, dude, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, it's like, oh, you waves $50 at me. And I'm like, oh, fine, bugger. Unlock the door, open the door. And so they come in, right? And then these guys end up leaving with about $2,000 worth of stuff. What? Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. One of them goes, oh, I'm going to buy a Land Raider and a Dreadnought. And then his other friend's like, I'm going to buy 3 Dreadnoughts. And then they spent like $2,000 and, pissed off, drunk with bags full of Games Workshop stuff at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing where people get drunk and then they try to score some drugs. But I think if they found actual drugs, it would have been cheaper.
Oh, it gives you that whole perception of plastic crack. People use the term plastic crack for our hobby. Here we go. 3 drunk guys on a Saturday night, stumbling past, and all of a sudden, hey, look, there's some Warhammer there. I want some Space Marines. So I've been in and out of the hobby. I ran that hobby store for a couple of years. That was great fun. And then, like a lot of small business owners, especially at that point in time, that was from 2009 to 2012, the internet really for gaming was kicking off. I don't know if you're familiar with an old store, Maelstrom. They were really the first one out of the UK. They were the first one to do like 25% off Games Workshop and stuff. And They really set the trend for discount online sellers and stuff. And as a small business owner and as a hobby store, when people come walking into your shop with something that I just bought online and go, "Hey, Viv, look what I just bought online. It was 20% off." I was like, "Great, dude. Yeah, I've got that on my shelf right here. You could buy it from me." Anyway, go down the back, use my stuff for free, go play games and chill out, play the PlayStation, do whatever you want. And so I like a lot of small business owners, burnout hit me really bad, and I closed up, and I didn't do anything for a couple of years. Then I got the itching to get back into it, and so I started thinking about another retail store, and I ran a worldwide competition. I set up a website and everything.
So
I set up a website.
we've been joined by Mike from Net1 Videos. Hi, Mike. Lisa, Dungeon Matron, Evolution of Gaming, and Cross is back. And Mike said, "That's insane, but they got into trouble with their wives next morning."
I'm sure that
Their wives and probably their bank manager and their credit card company, probably.
look, I'm sure one of them wake up in the morning going, "Where the hell did all this, where did these dreadnoughts come from?" Yeah, that's right. Crazy. Yeah, that was a crazy story. Yeah, I had a lot of fun there. And that was part of what, got me back to thinking. This was, a couple of years after I'd closed the bunker of opening up another store. So I ran that competition. I set up a website called namemygamestore.com, and we had I had a form on there, and ran a big worldwide competition to name my game store. And
I think you were kind of playing with fire there. It could have ended up with Shop Mac Shop Face or something like that.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of good suggestions and then a lot of rubbish. But it was great fun. There was maybe, I don't know, 300 or so submissions. And one of them was from some people who'd been watching my YouTube channel for years, actually, and from Scotland. I can't remember their exact name that they put in. I think it was the Knight of Dice or something like that. And I thought it sounded like a great name, because the concept for that store was to only open at nights. Like a lot of people, we work until 5 o'clock, and then, that's it. When do we go shopping? Shops close at 5 o'clock. We finish work at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
When can I go buy my Space Marines unless I'm drunk and it's 1 o'clock on a Saturday morning? So that was the concept. Only open at nights, and have a good gaming space like I used to have at the bunker, and so that concept of the name Knights of Dice, it worked really well, because we open at nights with a K to give it that sort of medieval sort of fantasy sort of aesthetic, and dice, obviously, because we're playing games and we're rolling dice. So I picked that name, and then I went through the whole process of finding a new place, and quite luckily I found a venue that was only a couple of 100 meters down the road from the old bunker, so it was in the same neighborhood and same people and stuff. But long story short, that never happened. I had a whole bunch of problems with the owner of that building and stuff. He was in his early 90s, and just as I'd signed the lease. Anyway, there was a whole bunch of complications, and that never went ahead. And, in retrospect, I'm kind of glad, because, retail is such a tough game, especially in this industry. And, even so much now, with the, 3D printing and stuff, I can't imagine being a retail store owner right now. To just be so tough.
It's always tough, but I can imagine it's very vulnerable to the ups and downs. Especially something when you're selling Games Workshop stock, because I keep hearing about how about the price multiplier in Australia.
Yeah,
for Games Workshop products. So yeah, that
the Australia tax. Well, it exists for everything. It's not just Games Workshop; it's everything. Like the lasers, for example, that we use at Knights of Dice at the studio. I use Trotec lasers, and we'll talk about that a bit later on, I'm sure. They're from Austria. They're Austrian-made machines. Beautiful, beautiful lasers. Here in Australia, those lasers cost almost $100,000 each, and in the US, converted, they cost about 50. And so, you know, essentially I'm paying $40,000 just to have that product shipped to Australia. So, you know, it exists for everything. And yes, you know, for our hobby, for Games Workshop products, it's brutal. It's brutal. You know, it can be tough to take. And, you know, just to segue slightly, you know, I'll jump all over the place, Karl. If you ask me questions, there'll be 6 different answers all wrapped up into one response. But, you know, I saw the you know, the recent announcement for the new squats from Games Workshop, you know, the April Fools that everyone thought, you know, that wasn't an April Fools, you know, the double bluff thing. And you know, I'm not a huge Games Workshop player. I don't play a lot of their games outside of Middle Earth Strategy Battle Game, but those bloody, you know, squats, you know, I'm interested in those now. And I know here in Australia that they will cost a fortune. Anyway, you know,
I'm not sure where they're going with those, to be honest, because they're so different from the old squats.
Yeah. Well, you know, everything Games Workshop now is different than it used to be.
Yeah,
you know, for me, you know, from a nostalgia perspective, you know, I'm so used to that old school style of, you know, the late 90s, early 2000s. You know, I probably stopped playing. You know, I started with fantasy, then moved into Necromunda and Mordheim. I never really got into 40K and all that sort of stuff, but I stopped playing Games Workshop sort of mid 2000s. And so all my memories and all my recollections and all the armies that I've got are, you know, from that period. And nowadays, when you look at the stuff from Games Workshop, technically they're amazing. From an engineering perspective, the stuff that's happening with
hands down, no argument there.
It's crazy, but the aesthetic and the style is so completely different than what I'm used to.
Yeah, especially with 40K, they're kind of going, at least a couple of years ago, they were kind of going into Masters of the Universe territory almost.
Everything has, you know, some people in the studio a couple of days ago, and they brought some stuff in. You know, they're catching up with some friends, and we're talking about custom foam and stuff. And some of their figures had, you know, capes and all these little fancy fly bits coming off them all over the place. And he was like, "They're just a nightmare to store." And I was like, "Yeah, they're a nightmare to make custom foam for too." But you know, that's not my memory of Games Workshop. My memory of Games Workshop is these chunky little squat sort of, you know, figures. That it's gonna be interesting to see where they go with those squats.
Net1 Video says starting up a gaming store must be tough. The overheads from the start are huge. And Campaign Terrain says, wishing Creating Mike all the best. Creating Mike is another YouTuber and creator who is also opening up his game store.
Oh wow! It's, you know, it's such a wonderful it is such a wonderful thing to be involved in. Yes, it's setting up is super tough. Hi chat, I hope everyone is well. It's super tough, but you know, it's super exciting at the same time, because once you get into it and you get things established and you get things rolling, just the stories like that one I told before about, you know, it was slightly different for me because I lived at my store, but you know, just the people hanging out there and having fun, and that was the reason why I, you know, after a couple of years, I was like, I want to open up a new store, and I'm to bring me back full circle, you know, after my 5-minute ramble, I'm kind of glad that I didn't open up that store, because retail isn't what I actually enjoyed. It was the whole social aspect of, you know, of providing terrain for people to play with, you know, having tables, having space, you know, the whole social aspect of gaming. After all, you know, that's what we do, right? We know we play games with other people, and, you know, it's very, very difficult for us to play our games if there's not another person we could play with, right? And that's what I really missed. Not the trading aspect, not the buying and selling of product. It was the whole social aspect. You know, fast forward a couple of years after that, that's why I set up my gaming club, Axes and Owls Gaming Club. A, because there wasn't a gaming club close to me, and B, it fulfilled that need to. It filled that, you know, that sense of, you know, I don't know, of passion and joy that I get from seeing other people enjoy their hobby. So yeah, I didn't open up that store. That sort of never happened. And a couple of years after that, I opened up my studio to at Knights of Dice. At that stage, you know, my dad had retired. I'd taken over our software company, and you know, I had a warehouse up in Heidelberg, which is, you know, suburb here in Melbourne, in Victoria, and I used to film a few videos there, not as much as I used to when I was at the bunker, but, I'd chill out there. It was a big place. I'd make stuff, do commission work every now and then and sell it. And then I bought a cheap little Chinese laser off eBay. That machine was a nightmare, absolute nightmare. And, used that for probably about a month or so before one of my friends rang me and said, "Hey, Viv, I heard you bought a laser cutter. I'm helping set up a shop in Box Hill, funnily enough, or Ringwood, very close. Can you make me some terrain that would suit this new game that's coming out called the Batman Miniatures game?" And I thought, all right, I'm doing commission work. At that stage, I was just using a laser to make, intricate window frames, which, funnily enough, I don't actually sell on my website now. Oh. Just to make, all those bits and pieces easier to cut and produce for my builds. And he was like, you could make some full buildings for me. So I said, yeah, okay, fine. I spoke to my friend Scott, Scott Reed, who now has his own studio, Tiled World Studios. If you haven't checked out his stuff, he's doing all the digital stuff. He just ran a very successful Kickstarter for some dwarven themed steampunk terrain. Gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. Scott been working with WorldWorks. I don't know if you know WorldWorks. I think they're called WorldWorks Games. I can't quite remember. They used to do papercraft stuff that you could print at home and cut out and fold up and glue up, and you'd have little. So he used to do that sort of graphical work for those guys, and so I knew he understood geometry, and as a designer, he was very, 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 very good. So I asked him, "Hey, Scott, come in, help me make these buildings for this other friend of mine," and then very, very quickly things got rapidly out of control. Because Scott and I had a brief discussion. We were like, maybe we could actually start doing some of this stuff. Just at the tail end of closing the bunker, people started coming in with laser cut MDF terrain, saying, "Hey, Viv, do you think people would be interested in buying this stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah, maybe, yeah, sure." This was in 2010, so 12 years or so ago. And I was like, "Yeah, maybe, I'm not sure." Fast forward, 10 years, and MDF terrain and stuff is everywhere. But yeah, things got rapidly out of control, and from there, these machines from Trotec appeared, because that that little Chinese red machine wasn't going to be suitable for any sort of commercial work. And fast forward 7 years. Yeah, 7 years, six years. I think this is October this year will be 7 years.
Nice.
We are where we are. There we go. That's me. That's me in a nutshell up until now, Karl. Started as a gamer in the mid-90s, and whole bunch of wonderful adventures to where we are now.
Yeah, it's
a long answer to your very simple question.
That's a really interesting answer. I mean, the whole journey is is really awesome.
That was great fun. I loved it.
And you're working on one of your terrain sets right now at the moment, or you were working on?
I don't actually know where I've put the files. My file management here at home is either the downloads folder or my desktop. Very rarely do things ever get sorted out properly into the documents, or there's I don't really do much on my home computer outside of play games and watch YouTube and naff around with videos every now and then, and so my file management at home is absolutely terrible. For this whole time and the 10 minutes previous to the stream, I've been trying to find the file. I don't know where it is.
That's okay, so Rush. And just to be clear, I suffer from the same file management. Creativity, let's call it creativity.
Yeah, it's different at work, right? At work everything is properly structured and organized, because I couldn't imagine things being like they are here at work. That'd be a nightmare. But here, it doesn't matter. I'll keep it in the downloads folder, and I'll move it later on. Yeah, sure you will. So no, I've been browsing around, but I haven't been able to find anything at the moment, Karl. But if I do, I've also got my OBS running, and I've got a virtual cam. Maybe I can pop something up on the screen. And
so just for the people in the chat, in case they don't have a link to your channel already, I'm just going to drop it in there.
Yeah, cool. I love it. Yeah, there we go. I've also brought up the chat so we can keep an eye on that.
This one, and also going to drop in a link to your shop over there.
Oh yeah, look at that. Check that out. Yeah, amazing.
Hey, Dungeon Mason. Yes, you were saying?
I was just going to read out the last comment that I think you were reading just then from Dungeon Matron. My husband and I fantasized about retiring to England. I think about that all the time. I'd love to be in England. You know, my family, my brother actually has been here. He's just spent a week with us. He's going back to the UK on Monday. Oh, today. That's today. He's going back to the UK today. He's up at my dad's place at the moment. They live in London. My mum lives in London. My older sister lives there, and obviously I haven't been able to go anywhere for the last couple of years because of COVID, but it's been wonderful being able to go across and see them. And I try to coordinate my visits there with Salute, the big gaming show there in London, at the Excel Centre there in London. And you know, I say to my wife every now and then, you know, I'd love to go to England. It'd be great for my business, you know, being the ancestral and spiritual home of, you know, tabletop wargaming. You know, I'd love to find a place close to Nottingham, and you know, and you know, reading that comment there, is like a nearby gaming store is one of the things I've always looked for there. Yeah, you know, it'd be wonderful. But my wife, you know, she's like, no. we we both grew up. We actually knew each other when we were younger, when we were teenagers, and we both grew up near the beach in Adelaide in South Australia. And then, you know, we reconnected here, you know, a decade or so ago. Well, we've been married for 10 years now, maybe 12 or 13 years ago. Here in Melbourne, we bumped into each other in a cafe, and she's like, "No, I'm not going to England. We've been there to see your family. It's cold, it's wet, it's rainy, it's grey. It's dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not interested." So we'll see. We'll see. You know, I couldn't imagine living in London, but I don't know. I just always enjoy being there. You know, it's such a wonderful feeling. I don't know what it is about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been. I lived in London for about 6 months. Let's say it wasn't my favorite. I don't think it's the
Yeah,
city.
sure.
I don't think it's the city itself. I think it was more the place I was working. But let's put it this way: I had hair when I went there. I didn't have hair when I came back.
Yeah, sure. That one video says London is a great place. I do enjoy being there, but I don't think I could ever live there. Looking to escape back to Ireland. You know, it's just, I don't know. I get this, I don't know. I'm gonna say a tingly sensation when I'm there in the UK that
Right?
I don't know. I don't, you know, it could be that whole holiday vibe, you know, when you go away somewhere and you're like, oh, this place is great, we should move there. And then, you know, people are always saying, you know, no, you know, things are a bit different wherever you live.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a trap.
Yeah. When you can go there and enjoy it, you can have fun and you can leave. Hey, Karl, I've been meaning to ask you, mate. Behind you, there's 2 sword hilts on your shelf. What are they? Are they?
Oh, they're terrain pieces. 1 second. Let me get them closer.
Oh, they are amazing. I wasn't sure if they were like swords that had just sort of been, you know, propped up behind the shelf there, or if they were.
No, they're terrain pieces.
That's amazing.
I don't usually prop up my swords against the wall because they make a hell. If they fall over, they make a lot of noise.
Yeah, sure. That's amazing. They look great. I've been thinking of some ideas. You know, with the gaming club now, we recently moved our gaming club Axes and Ales. We used to game in a brewery just around the corner from my house. Actually, that was great fun.
Brewery?
Yeah, like
Nice.
a little brew pub, and you know, owned by a couple of friends that, you know, I've known for a while, and it was just, you know, purely coincidental that they opened a brewery around the corner from my house, and you know, coincidental in the fact that I was walking home one day from the shops, and there was a brewery all of a sudden just opened like that. I didn't know anything about it, and you know, I walked in, and I was like, what the hell are you guys doing here? They're like, oh, we started a new brewery. Anyway, so we've moved from that brewery now to a new place. And, the concept of, events and tournaments and stuff keeps popping up every now and then. So I've had in my mind, different sorts of ideas for trophies and stuff. And those, something like that would be perfect. We can't give out in, sometimes you see events in the UK with big swords and stuff. We can't do that here in Victoria, but I liked those. They look great.
I mean, these are pretty easy to make. So probably what you might want to do is just replicate one of them and cast it or something.
Yeah.
Because these are just XPS. They're good for terrain, but they wouldn't look very. It's not something you give out as a trophy.
Yeah. You want that to have some weight and some heft to it. Yeah, big chunk of resin would be great.
But yeah, I mean, you could easily print them or cast them or something, and that would work out pretty well.
Yeah.
So yeah, surprise pubs are the best. I mean, like that wasn't there yesterday.
Yeah, it was amazing. And what makes it even weirder is that maybe about a year or so before that, maybe 2 years before that, we were, my wife and I, looking for a warehouse space, and that was one of the buildings that we looked at, and because it was close to our home and it was convenient, and it was outside of our price range, so we ended up buying something up in Heidelberg West, which is a bit further out. And then a year or so later, maybe a year and a half, I can't quite remember. I was coming back from the shops and I was like, oh, there's a brewery in that building we were looking at. And it was great fun, proper little, brew pub, little craft beer, everything made fresh, brewed fresh and, delicious. They even made a specific beer for us, for the gamers there, called, I think it was called Goblin Green. I don't know if you remember. You remember the old Games Workshop color that we used to paint.
I remember
on the
color. I remember
miniatures.
the smell. I remember. I remember the old paint pots, the ones that. Yeah, I remember that.
And so that was a really big hoppy beer with lots and lots of hops in it. And so they called it Goblin Green, and that was on tap for a couple of weeks before it ran out. They did a small batch of that. It was great fun. It was good fun. I do miss that place, but. Being a brew pub, we gamed there on Thursday nights. The lights and everything were always real low, and it was a pub atmosphere. That's what they wanted, right? And so we used to set up our tables down the back and set up lamps. I remember some people used to be playing Blood Bowl with their phones out with their lights on so they could see what they were doing, and crazy times. It was great fun. But not the best venue for it. If they put the lights on, it would have been amazing. It depended on who was working on the night. I remember Sam used to turn the lights on, but normally not. Moving to the Bowls Club where we are now is so good. We're regularly getting 45 people a week, 45 people a week playing games, all sorts of games too. Lots of wonderful diversity in the games, which is great to see. Excuse me.
So what kinds of games do you have going on? I mean, like
there's all the staples are there. 40K is there, Kill Team. A little bit of AOS every now and then. Games Workshop has its healthy representation. Blood Bowl gets played every week. Normally there's some bolt action going on. There's some Infinity happening normally every week. Every now and then there'll be some Crisis Protocol. Lots of small little independent games that I like to play pop up every now and then. It's I can't think now, but every week I'll post up. Great to see this game, X number of players.
Nice.
There's another one. I think there's another game that started popping up called Conquest of Kings. Which is like a fantasy game. Again, 32 or 35 mil scale. So again, another odd scale game.
Yeah, vaguely familiar with the name, but I can't remember where I heard of it.
Yeah. Song of Ice and Fire gets played pretty much every week. Warhammer Fantasy 6th edition, funnily enough, has been had a good representation every week for maybe the last sort of 2 or 3 months.
Nice.
Some people there have, picked up, the 6th edition book, the great big, the big red one. That, I lent it to my brother. Right. I don't have it here on the shelf. You could kill somebody with that book.
I'm not sure. I think I've got the 8th edition one, not the 6th one, but it's still a bit of a brick.
Oh, that's the 8th, Ed, is it? Okay, that's the 8th. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. So yeah, I must get it back if he's not using it. Why is he borrowing it if he's playing 6th edition and he's got my 8th edition book? I want it back. You watch him, bro. Give me my book back.
Yeah, I mean,
Dungeon Matron in the chat says York. Sorry, Karl, I'm just jumping back to the chat here because Dungeon Matron has said that York is one of the top places I would want to live. I don't know if you've had a chance to go to the UK much. I've been to York a couple of times, and it is an absolutely fantastic place with an amazing history.
I want to visit York mainly because of the Viking museum thing.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my friends lives there, and he's always going on about it. Always going on about it. Yeah.
It's got such a fascinating history. And a couple of years ago, when we were there, my wife and I hired a motorhome for 2 weeks and drove around the UK. And in my typical fashion, I was like, let's just hire it and just fucking drive around. We just find out what happens. And we had some good times and some really bad times. And if I was to do it again in the future, I'd want to plan it. I'd want to make sure I know where we're going, where we're staying, where we're driving, when we're not driving. And York was one of those places where we spent a little bit of time, and it was great fun. And then we went up to Lindisfarne and stuff, and we got stuck on the island because we didn't leave early enough before the tides came back in, and the causeway flooded over, and so we had to stay there. And great fun. And the Viking Museum, the Jorvik Centre in the middle of York, there is certainly something that I think is worth seeing. It was great fun.
So I mean, even with the mishap with the tide, it sounded like a fun adventure.
Well, it was great fun. My wife was pregnant at that stage, and with our daughter Charlotte, and she had a very tough pregnancy. But specifically when we were on that island, she was having some really bad period pains. Just like, I just don't want to walk around here anymore. I don't want to go see that bloody ruin. I'm just going to sit here in the van. And then after a little bit of time, I was like, okay, great. We can go. And we left it like half an hour too late. And when we got down to the causeway, they were like, no, it's not safe to cross anymore. And my wife was just fuming by this stage. She's like, I didn't want to be here. I just want to fucking go back. And, but like a trooper, we set up and we spent the night there, and had a great time. Yeah, it was fun.
So, I also noticed that you're pretty big on community, like you've been saying, setting up the club, meeting people in the shop when you were in retail, and so on. And I also know that you did that marathon that was last year, yeah? Paint for Life.
I think it was last year. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was last year. Like I said in our pre-show chat, the concept of time right now, Karl, doesn't exist. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was, October or something last year. Yeah.
October? No, was that late in the year? That was at the beginning of the year, but time.
It could have been the beginning of the year. I'm normally wrong whenever it has anything to do with time. For me, everything kind of happened last week. But yeah, that was great fun. That Painting for Life stream. I don't know.
How did that get started? That was in aid of mental health aid organization, a charity.
Yeah. So here in Australia we have a charity called Beyond Blue. There's lots of services and charities and support services available for all different sorts of mental health, and Beyond Blue is one of our big ones. You kind of see them all over the place. There's a lot of events that happen in support of Beyond Blue, and that stream was me basically getting a little bit out of control. like I said, with Knights of Dice, that all of that happened very, very quickly. And all of a sudden, from a $3,000 laser, there's $250,000 worth of machinery sitting in the warehouse. The stream was exactly the same. I hijacked my friend's idea.
Okay.
It was just going to be 5 of us chilling out, kind of like we are right now on Zoom.
Okay.
Painting miniatures, having a chat for a couple of hours, painting some miniatures, and we'd all donate $25 to charity.
Okay.
And I said, actually, we can do something better here. Let's stream it. I'll stream it. I'll set up my cameras here and stuff in here. I'll, bring OBS and a whole bunch of virtual cameras, and I'll stream it, and people can watch at home, and people at home can donate if they want to. And that idea lasted for about 24 hours. Before I was like, actually, no, what we should do is 12 hours. Let's do a 12-hour challenge. We'll stream all 12 hours. My friend Ed, who was on the stream with me for the whole 24 hours, we'd done a few painting challenges together before. I painted, you won't be able to see it, but on one of the shelves back there is my Rohan army for Lord of the Rings. Me and Ed did a 24-hour painting challenge. We just hung out together for 24 hours, and he painted his Rohan, I painted my Rohan. We did a couple of 12-hour challenges and stuff together. So I was like, we should do a 12-hour challenge. I'll stream it, and that way people can donate at home. And we've got a longer period of time than a couple of hours. That idea lasted for about 12 hours, and then I was like, no, this should be a 24-hour thing. And let me reach out to some industry contacts that I know and some of the distributors here in Australia. We'll see if we can get some prizes and some support, and and then we can give away some prizes. And then that idea lasted for probably 4 hours, because I'd phoned a bunch of people, and they're like, yeah, I'm on board. And then I thought, let me get hold of Beyond Blue. So I rang Beyond Blue, and they were like, yeah, you can set up a campaign page. It's pretty easy. You can just do that on our website. And so within the space of maybe 2 days, I'd taken Ed's idea from just the 5 of us hanging out for a couple of hours on Zoom to painting to a 24-hour stream with, thousands of dollars of prizes, international guests across the whole 24 hours. I built a website, and it was great fun. It escalated really quickly. And it was amazing. We had some great guests on, and we had a great time. I didn't actually get much painting done. Kind of like right now, I had said to you that I might work on some stuff in the background. But for those people who are watching, and for you, Karl, if you get me talking about gaming, it's very, very difficult to stop me talking about gaming. So I didn't paint very much during that stream. I chatted with the guests, and kept the stream running, and it was great fun. It was a good concept that
it was.
That worked out really well. I can't believe it. We raised $11,500, and I had there was consistently across the whole stream, 80 people or so watching at a time. I was really worried that we'd be streaming for 24 hours to a tiny audience, if anyone was going to be watching it. And I remember talking to my wife beforehand saying, I'm so worried. No one's going to be watching, because I set up a completely new YouTube channel for it, Knights of Dice Live. I didn't really want it on the Knights of Dice page. I kind of wanted it to be its own thing. And in retrospect, I probably should have set up a Painting for Life channel and streamed it there. We've had some discussions, me and the other guys, about doing more of those, potentially twice a year, with different sorts of charities and stuff involved. And but it was great fun. And mental health for me is something that's very very close to my heart. It was crazy. I ended up being live on the radio and stuff, and interviewed by reporters and stuff, and it was crazy. It was crazy, for such a simple little idea of 5 guys hanging out together painting some miniatures to what it became was crazy. So
all the way up to 11. Yeah, but that was a good stream, and it was a good cause.
So much fun. That one video is in the chat was saying it was a great stream. Dungeon Matrix says, what was the charity? So Beyond Blue here in Australia, they provide support services to people suffering from mental health and suicide, which is why they were very, which is why I was a charity that I wanted to support, because towards the end of the Battle Bunker days, my mental health was really, really bad. And in 2011, I tried to commit suicide. And Beyond Blue was there to help me after that, after I got out of hospital and stuff. And, I was in hospital for a while, and they were there to help me through that. So when we were talking about, which charity should we support, I was like, well, for me, it's got to be Beyond Blue.
Yeah, that's the obvious choice.
Yeah. So, there's others that we'd like to do in the future. We've got a couple of military charities or charities that support our defense personnel and military personnel that, I'd love to do a campaign for. A bunch of my family have been in the military. Sorry.
Hey, no problem.
A bunch of my family have been in the military. My sister's still serving in the Navy. She's a very high-ranking naval officer. She's done a full career there. She's retiring shortly. And, her husband, my brother-in-law, is Air Force. My younger brother was a medic in the Army. My older brother was a chef in the Navy, served on submarines during the Gulf War. And so, that's another thing that's close to my heart is the support services for, our veterans. So I might do something for that in the future. Yeah,
it would be
great fun.
Would be nice.
Yeah. It was good. It's, I don't know. It's kind of weird, the concept of time, as I mentioned a couple of times now, it doesn't really exist for me. And when we're talking about, let's do a 24-hour thing, guys, it'll be amazing. And everyone was like, nah, fucking, I'm not interested in that, Viv. Maybe I'll do 4 hours. Maybe I'll do 5 hours. And then a whole bunch of them ended up staying for, 12 hours. And then they had to sign off. Ed said, I'm going to do 12 hours. He ended up staying for 24 hours because like me, Ed gets a bit carried away sometimes. If you push him and, we're both excited, then, crazy things happen. And so, yeah, the concept of 24 hours didn't seem long to me. Funnily enough, after that, I was on such a high afterwards. I said to Ed, let's keep going for another 12 hours, man. We can do another 12 hours, I'm sure. And he was like, nah, fucking, I'm done. I'm finished. And so when we were talking about this stream happening at, what time did it start for me? Quarter to 4, 3:45 a.m. or something? Yeah, I was like, no, it's fine, man. I'll be there. It's all good.
Yeah, I remember the end of that marathon, and you were in surprisingly good state. I mean, like you were lucid, you were still talking, and I would have been like.
Well, I think that's the difference, right? That's the difference when you've got people there. If there was nobody watching and I wasn't streaming with anyone, if it was just me, it would have been a completely different story. At the end of the stream, who was on at the end of the stream? It was Luke from Geek Gaming,
I think so,
and Paul Elston from Elston Nation, two guys I've known for a long time. And both those guys, they'd scheduled in for a 45-minute slot, right? In the timetable and stuff. They'd chosen their time slots, but both of them ended up staying for hours and hours and hours. And Luke ended up hanging out with me and Ed for another half an hour after the stream. It was amazing. If those guys weren't there, there's no way I would have been sort of like bam, bam, bam. My energy was so high at the end of that stream. And I remember people saying in the chat, it's like, Viv is surprisingly lucid for being awake for 24 hours and talking constantly for 24 hours to all different sorts of people about all different sorts of stuff. It's been great. Yeah, it was super fun. So much fun. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Oh, my tea's gone.
Campaign Train says, I can swear unequivocally, tabletop RPGs and tabletop wargaming I still have certain friends due to our hobby. The support systems we build are amazing. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. You see it all the time, especially, excuse me, when you see things pop up on Facebook, where someone's going through some hardship or something that's happened, the amount of support that just, falls out of the ceiling is amazing,
Yeah,
totally. I think that's one of the things that is born from the fact that we are already a very socially entwined community. We can't play our games without other people. Yep. And, that in turn lends us to, creating those networks of, very good friendships and, forming communities around the games that we enjoy playing so that when something does happen, immediately there's other people who are like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm there for you, man. I'm there to help.
Yeah, on a personal level, for example, what I find is, apart from the other people, just having something to do with my hands
Yeah.
uh, helps me remove stress, and it's let's put it this way, it would have been much harder to get past the last 3 years without that. Is it 3 years, 2 years, whatever? Yeah.
Yeah. I totally know, understand what you're saying. I'm also one of those people that, you know, I like to be physically active. I like to, be doing things, with my hands. I like to be doing things with my body, and, um, tabletop gaming for me, it fulfills that, little childhood fantasy of, me running around with swords and stuff. And, when I grow up, I'm sure when we grow up, we're probably a very similar age. When I grew up, there was no, there was no internet, there was no games, there was, video games were, just coming in with the Commodore 64 and the Atari. My time was spent outside pretending I was a wizard or a soldier, running around with sticks and yeah, exactly. And so for me, tabletop gaming, and specifically fantasy, yeah, exactly, is for that, um,
Yeah, I mean, like,
I,
I like to spend quite a bit of time swinging this at other people and getting it swung at me. So,
I did see a video on your channel that I haven't watched yet, Carl. I must watch it. That you did a couple of weeks ago. Well, I'm going to say a couple of weeks ago, but God knows, yeah, a month ago. Swords of the Religion by Franco Davies.
yeah,
yeah. Live Q&A with him. Yeah, I haven't watched that yet. But it's on my.
It ended up being much longer than we had expected.
Well, that's what happens, right? That's the exciting thing, and and that's when you're excited about something and you're passionate about something, it's very, very easy just to keep going and keep going and keep going. And that's the stream for me was like that. That's why after that stream I was like, Ed, let's do another 12 hours. And he's like, no, I'm shattered, dude. I'm shattered. I'm like, no, man, I'm going. Let's keep going. We're on.
You're on a road.
And yeah. Once you're passionate and excited about something, time just disappears, right?
Okay, Cross says, I'm crap at setting up such things, but I'm great at joining in, as well as staying awake for hours and hours and hours. And Dungeon Matron says, do it, I totally tune in and donate.
Well, that's the thing, you were just saying just before, the community, and there was another message here in the chat. It's just so much support out there. It's one of those things that every time I see, anyone doing some sort of charity stream or something like that, I always try to get involved and chip in a little bit of coin where I can, and hang out on the stream for a little bit. And it's great fun. Yeah, definitely love to do another one. Like I said before, me and the other guys have been chatting about doing another one. We were talking. Yeah, it must have been mid-year or something last year, because I remember a week or so after the stream we were saying, we'll do another one maybe in March next year. And it's fucking April already.
Yeah.
And nothing has been organized.
I'll be honest, I don't even know where March went. It just went by like.
It's just crazy. It's crazy. I remember we took a little bit of time off. We were supposed to go up to Queensland for a holiday up there, go to all the movie worlds and the Sea World. And, Queensland's a beautiful place, and, we didn't end up doing that because of COVID and, border restrictions and travel restrictions and all that sort of stuff. And we ended up going to hang out in Adelaide with, Kim's parents, my in-laws, for 10 days. And it was so much fun. I just went there. I didn't do any work. I didn't take a laptop. I didn't do anything. I didn't check my emails. I barely checked Facebook. I swam in their pool. I drank Harry's beer, and Margaret made me sandwiches. And it was great fun. And then after that, when we got back, it's 4 months later, and I'm like, what the hell? what happened to January and February? And I'm pretty sure there should have been a March there somewhere too. Yeah, time right now is just out of control. We'll see. Hopefully, as the world, I was going to say as the world starts getting back to a little bit of normal, but there's a lot of crazy shit happening right now.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what normal is anymore. If there ever was any.
Yeah, exactly.
Dungeon Mating, maybe the stream could be either group one-shot build or game. Yeah, it could be. I mean, whatever Viv would be up to, but we're not starting another one until we finish the pistachio challenge.
But this is the wonderful thing about, right now, my daughter, she's 8 years old.
Okay.
And she's in year 3 at school. But maybe since the age of 1.5, I'm going to say even 1,
okay,
she could use an iPad. She just picked up an iPad and could use it, right? That streams like the one that we're doing right now, video content that, people just consume left, right, and center on, Instagram and Facebook and, TikTok. And, we're so connected now and so very well in tune to being, connected all the time and watching so much content that it's very, very easy to do streams and all that sort of stuff for anything and find an audience.
Yeah.
For anything. Obviously for us, it's, for me, it's going to be tabletop wargaming related. But there's, it's amazing how much content you can find for any sort of interest.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
Yeah. I'm on board anytime. Anyone who wants a 24-hour stream, I'm in. Get me up.
Yeah. I'm going to regret this, but yeah, if someone does that, I'm also in. Have mercy. I'm old. I miss my sleep.
Well, see, right now up at the studio, I was going to say for the last couple of weeks, but it's probably been close to a year. I've rigged up a whole bunch of CCTV cameras.
Yeah, I remember. I think you had put it on one of your vlogs,
yeah? Yeah. I can't. Well, the last one was in December last year.
That was when
talking about this.
The last one was when you were cleaning the barbecue thingy.
Yeah. Cleaning up out the back, setting up the storage and the
pressure washer
and stuff.
That pressure washer is some good stuff.
Yeah. And it's April already, and I just haven't got another episode out. Time just disappears. But I had set up all those cameras, and they're still there. I've got terabytes and terabytes of footage. I swear I could take just a month off and release 100 videos,
because those are just recording all day every day.
Yeah. And then I back up the data, because otherwise it gets to the point where it starts overriding itself, right? And so I back that up every week onto external hard drives. And I'm sure there'll be, there's probably some floating around the place here somewhere. Terabytes and terabytes of data. But the wonderful thing with those cameras is I can rig them all up to stream with, so that, if we did have, like a massive, a 24-hour crafting, day, day and night, we could stream all of that from multiple different angles. No one needs to be worried about cameras and stuff. You just put it on and exactly.
Nice.
Exactly.
Do they also get sound, or how do they work?
No, they've got sound. Yeah, they record in 4K, and it's actually a really good quality 4K. The vlogs that I put up towards the end of last year were at half quality. They were still 4K, but the bitrate was very, very low. But by watching that, you wouldn't know it, right?
No idea.
They're CCTV cameras, which historically are very bad pictures, and yeah. It's a 4:3 ratio, and
no, those are some good stuff.
Well, they were cheap. They got them from Amazon. They're from Reolink. They're cheap cameras, but they work. They work, and they work well. So we'll see how long they last for. They've been up now for maybe 6 months or so. Oh Jesus, I'm forget about time. If I'm just going to stop mentioning time. They've been up for a while. So we'll see how long they last for.
Okay. Still, that quality, even if they're cheap and they output that quality.
Yeah.
We're talking about easily replaceable kind of cheap,
Yeah, exactly. If you get a couple of years out of them, they'll be good. The concept behind it is great. I've struggled for a long time with my channel after having run Rubbish In, Rubbish Out, 400 plus videos on that channel. And, back in the day, a decade ago, it was a big channel. I had 15,000 subscribers on that channel at one stage, and I was considered one of the big guys. If that's laughable right now when you see what's happening in the YouTube landscape. and I've struggled for a long time with, what type of content am I going to have on YouTube? Where is my place on YouTube? And, you see so many wonderful channels right now with these amazing projects that, I just can't fit into that same landscape. And so the whole concept of, rigging up my studio with, 16 cameras, and being able to just edit together, behind the scenes, footage of, a real life working, full-time, wargaming studio. It sounded great until I realized, hang on, actually there's fucking hundreds and hundreds of hours from, 16 different cameras here for me to edit together. And, to scrub through all that footage and look for little bits and pieces, or, having to worry about, walking up for a little while. This might come up on one of the episodes. I had a little notepad and I'd be walking around and then something would happen and I'd write in the notepad, 4:42 a.m. Monday, 4th of April, this happened. Check the footage, cameras 1, 2, and 4. So that, later on when I got to editing the video, I could flip through my notes and go, oh yeah, okay, there's interesting footage here, interesting footage there. And it all just became too much. And, 1 week rolled into the next and another week rolled into the next. I must sit down and edit. There's so much footage there. Oh, I must sit down and edit. There's so much footage there that, nothing very much has happened. So,
and that it just keeps piling up and piling up.
Yeah.
Okay, I see that Martin from Pulp Atelier and Stephen from Earthman Brick have joined us. I thought Karl had said it started at 1945. I guess it didn't account for daylight savings. Nope, no, I didn't.
Well, we were saying just before, right? The stream, we both said in the chat on Discord and stuff, be starting at 5:45, and that's a fairly okay, that's a fairly reasonable sort of hour. And then all of a sudden, daylight savings pops in, and we're like, actually, no, it's 2 hours earlier.
So Stephen from Earthman Brick is a connoisseur of MDF kits, so definitely someone who... Again?
From Earthman Brick?
Earthman Brick, yeah. Definitely a connoisseur of MDF kits.
It's amazing. I'll have to have a look. I'll check it out. It's I just saw a Dungeon Matron's comment there about the beauty of live streaming, no edits. Talking about video editing and all that sort of stuff. Is that it is, well, I was going to say it is easier just to pop a stream on and and go. And so I got all excited about that. I put out some videos. I did a couple of streams on a Friday. I was like, I'm going to be streaming every Friday at 9 p.m. My design sessions, because sometimes I do a lot of my design work at nighttime and at home because it's nice just to chill out by myself. And one of those big issues, though, Karl, is having to remember where I've actually stored my files. Is it on the desktop or is it in the download folder? But then time just disappears, and all of a sudden I'm going to be streaming every fortnight at 9 p.m. I don't think I've done a stream now for 4.5 months.
I don't think so. No, I think it was definitely last year.
Yeah.
I think you're working on some fantasy buildings. I think, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, that was the City of Ilaria range that I wanted to add some city walls to. So we have some city walls, castle walls in a different range, different style, different aesthetic. That I wanted to port across essentially that same style and that same aesthetic from that City of Ilaria range. And so I was working on that, and that's what I was going to be working on today. But who knows where those files have gone. I'll just download the latest version of them from the server at work, and because it's just disappeared.
Speaking of your design, what do you work in? SketchUp, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So we in the beginning we just used to use Adobe Illustrator, and everything was done 2-dimensionally while we're thinking 3-dimensionally. How does everything connect? And and after a couple of years we started using SketchUp, and it just changed everything. Before that, when you're working in 2D and trying to think 3-dimensionally, the amount of test cuts and prototypes we'd have to do
Of course.
to just make sure that things worked was ridiculous. And then then we started using SketchUp, which is not ideal, but it works. And we figured out our pipeline and our process, and it worked really, really well. So yeah, we do our design work in SketchUp, and then that all gets flattened out and taken over to Illustrator, where it's all laid up for production and laser cutting and printed off to the job control software that runs the Trotec lasers. So it's a combination of SketchUp and Illustrator.
I was thinking the design process must be interesting because you have to make something that's pretty, but it also has to be simple enough that anyone can put it together.
Yeah. Well, this was one of the things that excuse me. Transition to SketchUp made that process a lot easier, because when you're designing in 2D but thinking three-dimensionally, you're not really considering too much how things slot together, because it's outside of having to think about how do things slot together and how do they actually in which sequence. That's very, very difficult. But in SketchUp or in a 3D environment, you can see that happening right in front of your eyes, and so it makes designing from or from an engineering perspective, it makes the sequence of assembly much easier, and therefore the construction of your model much better. Life changing. I can't believe we designed for 2 years, maybe 2 years, it could have been less, who knows, in 2D in Illustrator before we switched to SketchUp. I don't know how we managed to do it.
So you guys taught yourself SketchUp for these?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep. Not a complicated program to use, and it's worked out really well, and I haven't seen the need to change it. There'd be no point changing right now. There's so much 3D print stuff happening that we did look at a couple of years ago moving to a different program called Design Spark Mechanical, a little bit more intensive CAD program. But no point now. No point doing that. I'm happy with my version of SketchUp from 2016. It works. It does what I need it to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was having this discussion with Cross from Campaign Terrain a couple of days ago. But it was about image editing software for thumbnails and so on.
Yeah,
we're like, okay, which features do you use? Use this feature, and this feature. Like, there's no reason to go to a more complicated program because you're not going to use that stuff anyway.
Yeah, exactly. From my time in software development, we always used to say, 10% of the people who use your software use 10% of its features. And the other 90% use 1% of the features.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nobody out there uses everything. You just don't need it. So.
In many cases, I'd be surprised if people knew 100% of the feature. Not just using them, just knowing them about them.
Yeah, exactly. And Excel is a classic example of that. So much you can do in that program that just most people don't do. So yeah, I haven't felt the need to switch to a different pipeline. SketchUp works very well for me. I'm very familiar with it, and it's great fun. Sometimes I just I've been playing a lot of Assassin's Creed lately, and
which one?
Assassin's Creed 2 on the PS3. Old school. It was funny. I loaded it up, and the last save I think was from 2012, and I was like, wow. But playing that game, it just gets me so excited to come down here into my games room at home, which is my converted garage, open up SketchUp and start playing around. And
I have kind of memories of Assassin's Creed, especially the first 2 or 3 games. Because I played them for hours, and then when I'm not at my PC, like I'm waiting somewhere outside or whatever, if I look at the front of a building, I'm just kind of plotting the way up, and it's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Oh man, brains are so fun. It's amazing how they work. It's because I find that happening all the time, especially once you've done something for a long time, you know you just see that everywhere. And it's funny, you see that a lot on Facebook, where in scratch building groups and stuff, where people are walking around and they're like, take a picture of something they've seen in the hardware store, and they're like 50 different things I could do with this. And you know it's great fun. It's great fun. Yeah, I remember when I was playing the first Assassin's Creed, that actually, this stream this morning is super rough for me, because I didn't actually sleep last night. I was playing Assassin's Creed until like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and then I fell asleep on the couch for an hour and a half before my daughter woke up, and then came and was like, "Hey, Dad, I need some breakfast." And so I've had very little sleep. But before that, I remember playing the first Assassin's Creed with Altair, and I'd go to sleep and lie down, and all I'd be able to see in my head was me running around, climbing on walls, jumping from rooftop to rooftop, and trying to go to sleep. And that's all that's happening. That's all that's happening. And the same thing happened years and years and years ago. I like to play chess every now and then. I haven't played for a while, but I played chess online for a day or two, and then all I could do when I was going to sleep was like chess moves, this move here, this move here, and yeah,
Been there, done that. You just get so involved with something that it just keeps rolling around in your head.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, looking at
Dungeon Matron in the chat says you should join us in the pistachio shell build challenge.
Yeah, you should actually.
What's that about? Do you know anything about that, Karl?
Yeah, that happened accidentally last stream, where we triggered a. Well, everyone decided that we should do a build using pistachio shells.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's a great nut, by the way. I love pistachios.
Good. So if you have any, hey Zane, if you have any pistachio shells, the idea is to build something which is tabletop gaming related. It could be terrain, it could be a miniature, whatever. That includes at least some pistachio shells.
Amazing.
We've got some ideas bouncing around in Discord already, and yeah, we can just go take a look in there and see what's happening. And
this is the other amazing thing, about we were talking just before about being so digitally connected, and everywhere we go, we can interact with people, and watch content and consume. That there's so many of these amazing little community projects that pop up and happen, on YouTube and in Discords and stuff all over the place, where someone's got some idea, and they're like, all of a sudden, there's people there. There's a community that's formed around that idea.
Yeah.
And, people are involved in and loving it, exactly like this pistachio show
yeah, the thing
challenge.
is that most of these are so random that it's a beautiful thing to see them develop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, definitely. I'll have to have a look. I keep on saying this. I must get involved in some of these, some of these group projects or group challenges that happen. And
okay, we're keeping it open till the beginning of June, I think. So yeah, there's time. Okay, let's have a look at Discord. See what's in here. Pistachio shell challenge first.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. We're just getting some nuts and ideas bouncing around. Everyone is building up their stock of material at the moment. Okay, so let's see. Okay, we've got some orc timbots for 40k. 100% scratch build by Earthman Brick.
Amazing.
I really like the way they came out, especially the middle one. Looks super dynamic. It reminds me of I forgot if it's Afro Samurai or Samurai Champloo, but this picture especially has got that whole elongated perspective. It makes it look really funky.
Yeah. There's so many details in that claw there, and I really admire people who do this scratch building sort of stuff. I have the desire to do it, but the absolute patience of a goldfish.
Yeah, I mean, not just the patience thing, it's also the ability to see the shape in the materials, getting that idea.
Yeah, it's the whole composition. You know, you need to know how to put things together, or be able to see that and, you know, play with that. And, you know, it's not just as, you know, glue two bits together, you know.
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
can
yeah.
see the difference when you know, you get someone who just glues some things together versus those people who make those things work well together.
And I think most of these pieces are, I know, I think the claws are scratch build and cast. I can see probably the card punch rivets. And I suspect there are some cable ties running around over there. So can you tell us a bit more about this, Stephen? Earthworm Brick, Samurai Jack. Yeah, it could be Samurai Jack.
Stop noodling around if they're in nutshells.
Okay, let's see. I think we've also got some pieces running around here. I really need to organize the channel. Anyway, this is a truck also from Earthman Brick. It started out as a TT Combat kit, slightly modified. Looks like a fun kind of thing to drive into a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, I was getting the same sort of vibes with the jerry cans and you know, the protection on the windows. And
Okay, this is something that Stefano from Chimera War Gaming is working on. I have no idea what it is, but it looks impressive. If I'm not mistaken, this is completely scratch built.
oh, Zane says he's allergic to pistachios.
Oh, damn it.
They're such a great nut. My daughter loves them.
Okay, and something that Marcin Jagersdorf painted recently. I have no idea what this guy is, but I'm guessing this is a purple worm. I like the details on it.
I love the color. I love the shading, especially on that robot one. The blending was amazing. Looked great.
Yeah, it was got a lot of interesting sub colors going on in there. Yes, no, I think that. Oh, yeah, something else in here. Ooh. Oh, Mart, you painted this guy up. Think.
I love stuff like this.
Yeah, it's a sketch build that Martin did a while ago. I think he was mentioning last time that he was kind of reluctant to paint it.
Sure.
But yeah, this is looking good, man. This is looking really good.
It looks great. Just, you know, this is the creativity aspect that I just don't have. You know, when you see people scratch building stuff, especially in this weird sort of, I'm going to say gothic horror sort of style, but, you know, it's probably not what it is. But, you know, it just looks amazing, and everything is tied together so well.
Yeah, it is. It is.
See, I'm one of those people. If I try and do something like this, it just looks like Viv's glued a bunch of things together. But you know, this looks great. That, you know, it's been the composition is amazing.
Yeah,
Grim dark. Yeah, Earthman says grim
definitely
dark.
grimdark.
Yeah.
But that's the thing with creativity. I mean, people are different in creative ways. Are creative in different ways. Sorry.
Yeah. Of course.
I mean, if we all did the same thing, it would be boring.
Yeah. That's one of the things about art, right? You know, it's you know, it's a little piece of us, and, you know, we're all different, which is what makes, you know, art different.
So again, Martin, this is awesome, and Steve, this is also awesome.
Making myself a quick note. Should check it out. Give me a good excuse to eat a handful of pistachios.
I'll send you a link to the Discord channel later, but
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
But basically, you can either throw it in there or just hashtag pistachio 2022 on Instagram. Oh, both work.
It's amazing. This is what I was saying before about community before. It's amazing. All of a sudden, there's hashtags for pistachio challenge 2022. Who would have thought? It's amazing right now. It's an amazing time to be alive. It's yeah, so much fun.
I can't imagine this kind of thing happening even 5 years ago. To be honest, I think we're just like you said. I think we're so much more connected at this point.
Yeah. Especially with Discord, communities on YouTube and stuff, they've been around for a while, and every community you float around in on YouTube, it doesn't matter if it's tabletop gaming. I watch a lot of sailing channels.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's because I just want to escape out on the ocean for a year and float around. Who knows? But they also the same concept there, and in the rebuild sort of rescue sort of markets, people getting old cars and restoring them and all that sort of stuff. Is the concept of community exists there? They all say on the YouTube community, that's been around for a while, but Discord has really allowed this type of stuff to happen, where all of a sudden you get that that text-based community aspect involved, where it's a little bit more personal, it's a little bit more connected, it's a little bit more.
There's also a lot more backwards and forwards, because excluding live streams, there isn't really much two-way communication on YouTube. I mean, you can just leave a comment and maybe someone will answer, someone won't. But when you get stuff like Discord, where it reminds me more of the forums and message boards of the first decade of the millennium.
Yeah, exactly. It's so good to see. It's amazing that send me the link, Karl. I'd love to check it out. I've got some pistachios in my cabinet. I'm gonna go have some of those today, and we'll see how I can get involved. That's amazing.
Okay, so
seriously, the stuff of nightmares. It's that style. I see
let's bring it up.
People constantly adding me to groups on Facebook. I can't quite remember what it is. So if you're watching and I've forgotten, I'm sorry. But that figure and that style reminds me of something called, I think it's called Veritwood, if that's the game or a location inside that game. I can't quite remember, but it has that similar sort of style that
I think he had designed this for a game called The Wield or The Weld or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So it might be related to that, but that is a seriously creepy grimdark monster.
Yes, amazing. I love it.
And Martin, is this the one where he had used part of a chair to or one of the mechanical parts or something like that?
Part of a chair? Did you say part of a chair?
I'm not sure if it's this miniature or another one, but I think, yeah. Okay, in the meantime, Earthman Brick says pistachios are great for making mounts, scales, armor plates, and look nicely organic.
Yeah.
Ideal for trends in 40k.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I can totally see all those stacked plates and stuff, and good carapace sort of stuff.
Yeah, and Earthman Brick also used one to make a bathroom sink once, and it turned out surprisingly well. I would not have thought of using a pistachio for that one.
Yeah, sure. Amazing.
Yeah, the Weld 28 Veritwood goes in a same aesthetic direction.
Yeah. Earthman mentions there the diving helmet for the head. I think that's what really sets off the weirdness for me, is that you've got this such organic sort of concept, and then this sort of diving helmet sort of
Yeah,
that central feature.
I mean, in almost every case, if you just put a mask on something, it's already going to become creepier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
But when you've got something that's already super weird like this, and then you put a mask on that, it's like, okay, what the hell could be under that?
Yeah. Yeah, that just adds to that creepy, scary factor, 100-fold.
Yeah. Okay. Checking. Yeah, the mask is a metal cap from a from a folding chair. Yeah, that's the thing. It's similar to what you were saying about creativity. It's like being able to see what could go where is amazing. It's
Yeah.
do you remember Prison Break, the TV show?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, being able to see patterns in things and
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because everybody sees something different. If you hold
totally.
up five different components, you're like, what can you do with these? You'll get 400 different responses.
Yeah, and that's absolutely awesome. That's one of the great things about having lots of different people who are interested in the same things and just bouncing ideas off them.
Yeah, exactly. And then and that's where these sorts of community challenges really come into their own, like this one being Pistachio Build Challenge, is you just get so many different ideas, and the outpouring of creativity and passion is just amazing. It's so good to see. I'm trying to scroll through that Discord, but I can't because it's you're streaming it.
Sorry, let me just send you an invite to this. Second. So I was going to say, we're getting kind of onto past the hour here. No, sorry, we're getting to.
Jeez, it's gone 5.
Yeah, so I think we should end the stream soon.
It's been so much fun, Karl.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's been a blast talking to you.
It's just amazing the time that we live in right now, and the facilities that we have to connect with people all over the world at 3:45 in the morning is amazing. It's been great fun, and it's so much. It gives the whole sense of community it gives the whole sense of community more meaning when you've been watching people on YouTube or watching their videos, and then all of a sudden we can appear together, have a chat, stream it out to everybody. Like virtually look through someone else's Discord. Like I said, I was trying to scroll through that just then, but no, that was inside the Zoom meeting. It's just amazing, so much.
Good evening, Stefano. We're just about to wrap up, but yeah, I mean, one of the things I'm loving about these streams is getting to know the people beyond their crafting.
Yeah,
because I mean, most of the time we're just seeing someone build something. You might laugh at their jokes, you might like their discussions, but I mean, you're just seeing that part of the person. Whereas having this kind of chat and listening to your stories and whatever, this was really good.
This is where community really comes into its own. This is where friendships are formed. I had someone come into the studio a couple of days ago. It was a couple of weeks ago, and he was a customer of mine at the Battle Bunker more than a decade ago, and he said, I'm going to catch up with, do you remember this guy Viv? And I was like, yeah. It's like, are you guys still friends? He's like, yeah. They met at the Battle Bunker, they become friends, and they're still catching up a decade later. Nice. And just like this, we're interacting with people. People are forming friendships. And for some of these people, these friendships that have started online become lifelong associations. That's wonderful. So thank you for having me on, Karl. Thank you for
it's been a pleasure.
Putting up with my rambling.
Oh, no way. I mean, it's been absolutely great having you here. And hopefully you'll be over again, and we'll find a more humane time for you. Again,
Anytime works for me, Carl. Anytime, man. You know, let's make the next one 2:45. No, thank you so much. It's been great fun, and
okay.
you know,
So thanks again, and thanks everyone for watching. Hope you have a great week. Bye.
thanks, guys. Bye.